TRSR Triad Hot Deals. The top deals on sports tickets, dining, and fun in the Triad. Visit TRSRTriadHotDeals.com right now and sign up to get the best area deals in the Triad every week. Powered by Tobacco Road Sports Radio and SportsCarolinaMonthly.com. This month, save big on Carolina Cobras season tickets. Go to 7 home games this season for only $45. That's an $80 value. Buy your 2022 season ticket package now with this exclusive deal from Triad Hot Deals. Visit TRSRTriadHotDeals.com. Visit the sports tab and secure your package. Limited number available. That's TRSRTriadHotDeals.com.
It's Donald Ware, host of Box to Row. Got a packed show for you. PGA golfer Harold Varner, actress Jeffrey Maya, NFL draft hopeful Marquise Bell of FAMU. All join me right here on Box to Row.
From press box to press row with Donald Ware, Saturdays at 9 a.m. on TobaccoRoadSportsRadio.com.
Hello, my name is Sabrina Kuhn Godfrey. I'm running at large for the Board of Education. Making sure all students have quality, accessible, and equitable education is my priority. It would be an honor to serve our community as a member of the board. Vote Sabrina Kuhn Godfrey for BOE during early voting or on primary day, May 17th.
Paid for by Sabrina Kuhn Godfrey for BOE.
This is Coach Rez, head coach of your Carolina Cobras Arena football team, the 2018 National Arena League champions. Join us for our 4th year in the Snake Pit at the Greensboro Coliseum. Be a part of the Carolina Cobras tailgating group before every home game starting April 30th. Season tickets are now on sale for as low as 2 for $128. You can reach the ticket office at 336-455-7232 or at carolinacobras.com. Fear the Fang.
You are locked. You are locked into Tobacco Road Sports Radio, your home for Triad Sports.
And you know this, man.
Charlotte out of timeout. Here's Morning, the shot.
He's going to get off. Here he comes. Here he comes. He's got him this time. It's going to be a drag race. They touch. Craven got him. Craven got him. By Lundquist. Now Ponagorowski with it. 2-1 drop block there. Scramble for it there. They plunk away at it. Still it's loose. Pumped out by Cobleton. They score. Entry. It's over.
The runner at third, nobody out in the first and didn't score. Second and third, one out in the second and didn't score. Smith corked one into right down the line. It may go. Go crazy, folks. Go crazy. It's a home run, and the Cardinals have won the game.
Welcome to The Score. Here's your host, Brett Wiseman.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to The Score. We have good news to report. If Des could play the audio for us that we're anxiously awaiting. In case you haven't heard, James Borrego has been fired. He's done. He's gone. We're free. Okay, we're going to discuss that, and then we'll have our NFL mock draft top 15 later on. But everyone celebrate and rejoice. The mired in mediocrity, it's probably not going to fix anything, but I'm just happy he's gone. Look, 4 years ago, it was a great hire. Not a great hire now. Des, as you and I were talking with JP and Ryan of franchise players, this was a coaching problem, 100%. And I think everyone's in agreement on this. Everyone with half a brain cell, that is, that this roster is way too darn talented to have gone out the past 2 years in the ways that they've gone out, and then the 2 years before that be as mediocre as they were, right? I think we can all sit here and honestly say that, A, both the past 2 years should not have been a 10 seed in the play-in, given where they were at parts of the season, A. B, the young talent that is on this roster is too talented. And for them to have developed to the point that they're at, but as a team not get into the playoffs is a failure with coaching. Devontae Graham being a huge example of that. LaMelo and Miles, if nothing else, kind of touched on that in their exit interviews and kind of planted the seeds that this decision was coming. So, look, I'm not saying go hire Jay Wright, but this team needs a new voice. And like we said, this team is way too talented. Des, you made the point to me in that same conversation. This is just like when the Warriors fired Mark Jackson. Was the team good? Was the team successful? Yeah, they needed a new voice. Just like when the Lakers fired Tyronn Lue and brought in Frank Vogel. At that time, the Lakers needed a new voice. When you have a roster as talented as this one and are not able to get past the play-in tournament and are knocked out by the Pacers and the Hawks, and when you have the talent that this roster has, when 3 of the 5 in the starting 5 are all-star caliber players, that's coaching. Mitch Kupchak has built this roster to succeed. The next step down is not being taken.
Yeah, I'm not mad at Mitch Kupchak at all. In fact, I think he should be looked at as executive of the year for the past couple of years for the drafting that he's done. Look at just the second round talents that he drafted.
Look at Kai Jones. Look at, again, Vernon Carey was a second round pick, but yeah, Kai Jones. We talked about that too. Oh, did they need to pick Mark Williams? No, Kai Jones is your center of the future.
He's 21 years old. He played 2 years at Texas.
Yep.
And I get it, because I was basically saying, Kai Jones and James Bouknight were both first-round picks. They traded back up into the first round to go get Kai Jones last year, and both of them spent most of their time in Greensboro with the Swarm, who I cover for All SI. And I could never figure out why they were down there so much. But then if you look at the Hornets roster, there's a logjam at guard and at forward. Like they have basically drafted the same guy for 5 years. It's a 6'9", 6'10" forward that can play a little stretch, that might be a little athletic, and does like one thing really, really well. But they're all basically the same body, whether it's Miles Bridges, PJ Washington, Kai Jones, Vernon Carey, JT Thor, like they're all the same guys. So like to go and be like, we need to draft Mark Williams from Duke. He's the same dude, and he can't score as well as some of the other guys that we've had in here. So if they pick Mark Williams with this first round pick, I told JP and Ryan, I will drop kick my television in the living room. Like I will run Rock and Roll Express style and drop kick if they pick Mark Williams, because he can't do anything but he's a rim protector. Like that's it. We can go get that from Indiana with Miles Turner. Like we don't need another 20-year-old 7-foot center. Like develop one.
You're drafting Vernon Carey again. You're just drafting an older Vernon Carey.
Pretty much. And then as for what you're saying for Borrego, I totally agree. I was saying Mark Jackson. You get on the phone with Mark Jackson right now, because if this is done to appease in some way LaMelo and Miles to a certain degree, because you kind of recognize them two as being two of your core that you're going to need, especially if you plan on keeping LaMelo there. There were times during the year this year, we talked about it, Brett, where like the Hornets had weird combinations of lineups that they were sending Bouknight and Jones back and forth to Greensboro. It felt like they depended on not having Gordon Hayward too much. Like they were using that almost as an excuse. But if you look at the standings, they finished 10th. They're only 10 games out of first in the Eastern Conference. The entire Eastern Conference.
They were 6th for most of the year, had a tiebreaker over the Nets for the 8th seed, were the 8th seed with about 4 or 5 games left in the season, and then dropped to the 10 seed like an anchor in the last 5 games of the season.
And some of that's coaching. Some of that is coaching in terms of some of those games, they came out real flat in the very beginning and then had to play catch up the whole time. That's a coaching thing when your team comes out just flat like that in the beginning. I'm sorry, I'm not sure I was going nuts.
I will
like you have
touch
anything
on
over
one
the
thing
dog,
as
but-
well. I'll touch on one thing, and I want to point it out because First Take got it wrong this morning. They said Charlotte was the only team in the NBA to not go to the playoffs in the last 4 seasons. Last time I checked, the Sacramento Kings still exist. But besides that point, I agree completely. It was time for him to go. I've been thinking about this the whole time we've been talking about Borrego when the train stopped. And he said, this is for fuel. This is giving our guys fuel. And then you get mollywopped in the next game. Yeah, they need a new voice. I don't know who they could bring in. I'm not a Charlotte Hornets fan, and I wouldn't know really who the best fit would be for that team. But I would be interested to see who they bring in to coach up this really young team in the NBA.
Yeah, and we can't.
This is not – sorry, Michael. This is not like other young teams in the NBA that this talent needs to be groomed. It's been groomed. If anything – James Borrego has hardened these guys by not being the voice that they need. He's hardened them, but by doing the exact opposite. I know that doesn't make a ton of sense, but look at Devontae Graham. Look at Dwayne Bacon. Guys like that were sent up and down from the G League. Des, you touched on them. Book Knight and Kai Jones. Those guys should have been on the bench because we saw when they came up and had significant playing time, they played good basketball. JT Thor as well. JT Thor played really well. James Borrego was brought in as a developer of young talent. He picked and chose who to and not to develop and relied way too heavily on the 3 or 4 veteran guys that were out there. As you said, Des, it's almost like he used the absence of Gordon Hayward as an excuse for why games were slow. There were slow starts to games and why the team was not scoring as much. Yeah, when Gordon Hayward's out there, he stabilizes things a little bit. Now I'm more than happy to flip the guy.
Oh yeah, that should be priority number one.
He's
right
clogging He's clogging things up right now. As good a signing as it was at the time, just as good as a hire as Borrego was at the time. You A, need a new voice. B, Gordon Hayward's clogging things up for guys like James Bouknight to come in there and play. What James Borrego was brought here to do, he has not done.
If you've watched The Last Dance, the documentary on Michael Jordan and the Chicago Bulls that came out, last year before, there's a part
the only sports we had other than the NFL draft for 3 months.
Yeah, in 2020 was fantastic. There's a part where they're talking about the Bulls had basically gotten to a point where they had plateaued under Doug Collins, and Doug Collins was fired after leading the Bulls to the 1990 or the 89 Eastern Conference Finals, where they lost to the Pistons. I'm sorry, my dog's going crazy right now. There's some lady across the street checking her mail. But I feel like it's similar to that, where not so much that the Hornets are as talented as the 89 Bulls or they were in the Eastern Conference Finals or anything, but I think they've got to a point where they're not going to get any better than what they are right now with Borrego, and they needed someone else to push them. My vote is for Mark Jackson because I feel like if you're going to keep LaMelo there, get him a coach that used to play point guard in the NBA that can kind of teach him how to lead a team going forward. And Mark Jackson helped build the Golden State Warriors. Like, they won the title the year right after they let him go for Steve Kerr. That core went on to win the first of 3 titles. And a lot of people are like, well, Mark Jackson kind of built that team. You put Mark Jackson with this team, it's like you're sticking him right back into Golden State in 2014, where you're just plucking him right back in there again. He's a defensive guy. They'll play defense. I just think it's a good fit. If not him, I'll throw a name out there that people aren't talking about yet. What about Frank Vogel? Because this roster is way better on paper than what the Lakers had available to them last year. And he's known as a defensive-minded guy, and they lost a lot of games this year because of lack of defense. Like, I think he could come in and maybe be that for this young team. Like, that Lakers team was an old team. Like, they weren't going to listen to him after a certain point just because they were all in their 30s. This is a team, they're the youngest team in the league. I think the average age is like 25 or 24 or something like that. They're almost like a college team. You bring in Vogel, instill defense is part of the thing. You let LaMelo loose. I would be fine with that too, but my pick is Mark Jackson as it stands right now.
I definitely prefer Mark Jackson over Frank Vogel. But, I mean, Brett, you were talking about, the lack of success the last couple of years. Like, 2 years ago, I didn't expect Charlotte to be anywhere close to the race in the Eastern Conference. And we talked about this, a couple months back, where the Eastern Conference is so deep right now. Like if you look at any of those teams that finished in front of Charlotte, I can't say like, they deserve to be there. They really do. But I don't know if a new coach will get this team to a 4 or 5 seed next year.
I don't think it happens that quickly, but we're going to beat this point into the ground. Is there had to be a new voice. There had to be just this level of clarity, because the other big thing here is the only way you keep this core together is to give them a reason to stay. Being okay with being complacent with the results the past 2 seasons and not making a move above and not making moves to better the roster in the offseason, which I'm sure are coming, tells Miles Bridges, LaMelo Ball, and Terry Rozier that the organization is okay with a 10 seed in a play-in tournament every year.
Yeah.
LaMelo Ball's not going to want to play with that.
Right. I mean, LaMelo will be looking at LA. I like the move. It shows that they are. Ryan Stone made a good point in our text thread where he was like, you've had 2 years of LaMelo already. You're going into year 3 with him. You have to show him that you're committed to winning, beyond where you're at right now, because they are propping him to be a face of the league going forward for the next 5 years. And you have him here in Charlotte. You can keep him here in Charlotte, but I promise you, probably him, Miles, and a couple other guys said something about Borrego in their exit interviews that caused us to kind of snowball where they decided, because they just gave Borrego an extension last August.
Yep.
So like this
which at the time I thought was a good move, but
and to Michael's point though, the 6th seed this year, the Chicago Bulls, they're 46-36. That's 3 games more than the Hornets. So like for us to say that the Hornets can't get to 6 or 5 or even 4 or 3 in the East, I don't think that's the case, actually. I think that's why they fired Borrego, because they're looking at the standings and they're like, this game here in December that we lost by 1 on a buzzer beater, this game here where we got blown out by 40 to Orlando or whatever on a random Tuesday night that shouldn't have happened. You start picking up those, a game here, game there, game there. You're in the 3rd seed in the East. So, like, I think it's just time. I think it was just time for them to let him go and need a new voice. So who that will be the question going forward. And I'd be really curious to see if Mark Jackson's name starts to pop up in this.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see who gets rumored and all that kind of stuff. I don't want to knee jerk with any choices here, but I definitely agree with you two that 1A and 1B would be Mark Jackson and Frank Vogel. As you said, Des, a lot of the Hornets games this year, yeah, they can score. They proved that. It was all about the defense.
It was one of the top scoring teams in the league.
Yep.
Yeah,
but
that's
one of the bottom tier defensive teams in the NBA. There were a lot of games that came down to, okay, you need to get that one stop. If you can't get that one stop, that is the difference between a 3, a 4, a 5 seed or an 8, a 9, or a 10 seed. The ends of those games, finishing those games off, either getting stops to get back in the game or getting stops to finish off games, did not happen enough. Now, they happened at times, but it did not happen consistently enough. You've got to bring somebody in who is defense-minded and knows how vitally important finishing those games off is, because it is the difference between a 3, a 4, a 5, or an 8, a 9, or a 10.
Let me ask you this. What do you do with Gordon Hayward? Because it's almost the same question the Panthers across town are dealing with McCaffrey, where it's like,
if he can't stay healthy, why are you paying him?
Right.
Why are you giving him $112 million to play 40 out of 82 games?
Do you trade for Russell Westbrook?
No. Nope.
Because the reasoning for it would be to get out of Hayward's contract, because you owe him $60 million over the next 2 years. Russ would be owed $47 million just next year. So you'd be saving $16 million, and it'd be a write-off contract after it's done if you don't re-sign him, which I would doubt they would do. But is that a way to get out of Hayward's contract? Because I don't know how else you move him, or do you stick with him? Do you keep him here and hope?
There's got to be another way to get out of that contract other than to bring him in. I just don't want to deal with it.
Chris Paul's contract's been traded like 3 times, and I thought that was the most untradeable contract in NBA history. And same for Westbrook. Actually, now that I think about it, they've both been traded like 3 times since they signed those extensions. So there's someone out there that'll pick them up. I just don't know who that is. I do feel like they do need the Hornets roster needs a veteran besides Rozier, and it was supposed to be Hayward. Hayward's 30, so he was the vet of this team. You can go find – they need to go find a couple other guys that can fill that vet role without messing up the core the way Golden State did. They brought in Andre Iguodala. You know what I mean? Like
I don't think Russell Westbrook's that guy.
I don't think
he would conflict with LaMelo.
Yeah, he's a Jordan Brand guy.
I think they would start to butt heads. Yep, because like we talked about last show with the Lakers, Russell Westbrook has to have the ball in his hands. Mm-hmm. LaMelo Ball doesn't necessarily have to have the ball in his hands, but possessions need to start with the ball in LaMelo's hands. Russell Westbrook would be adamant that every possession has to start with the ball in his hands, and everyone else would follow suit.
It's funny because I wanted Westbrook the year before we drafted Ball. Like I think I wrote an article about it.
I did too.
He's Jordan Brand. He was coming off an MVP season.
It was a great fit at that time, and then LaMelo pops in.
Yeah, I was like, this has been great. You match him up with Miles. Miles was like a rookie or a second-year guy, and then he ended up going to Houston, to Washington, to LA, and I don't think the Lakers are going to be able to get rid of him. So I think they're going to try to run that back. But the Hornets are in a good place. Like I'm fine. When I saw the news come across, I was kind of surprised, but in the back of my head, I was kind of thinking they were going to do this. So it didn't really shock me.
I was kind of expecting it to happen. Yeah. And I wanted it to happen.
Yeah.
So
I'm cool. Now it just depends on who they hire. Now, if they hire somebody that's worse than James Borrego, you might as well tell people, no, they're not going to hire Jay Wright. Jay Wright is done. I keep hearing people saying, "Oh, he's not done. He's not done." No, you don't want him to be done.
He's going to go coach the Lakers. Jay Wright, of all people, is not going to coach the Los Angeles Lakers. Please stop.
He has no reason to do that. I was on that tip for 5 minutes when I first heard the announcement. I was like, nah. That bothers me so much when people are like, they think they know what Jay Wright's thinking. So they're like, Jay Wright's not finished coaching. He'll be back soon, and it'll be in the NBA. Like, it's just one of those takes. It's like, he's 60 years old. He's got grandkids.
If there is anyone that is more willing to avoid pulling a Billy Donovan, it is Jay Wright.
Yeah, he's done.
Remember, Billy Donovan won 2 straight national championships in Florida, jumped to the NBA, and basically destroyed the the Oklahoma City Thunder until Kevin Durant came in.
Yeah. I'm just surprised we haven't heard Coach K's name come up.
That came up today. I saw it today. Before I got in here, I finally saw somebody going, back up the truck and get Coach K for it. I'm like, yeah, that's exactly what Gordon wants to do. He wants to hire Coach K. That's exactly what's on his list right now.
Desmond would love it.
Here, Steve Wiseman will be on in our second hour, who's been closer to Coach K than anyone over the past 15 years. We'll see what he thinks about that and see if there's any truth to those rumors. I can tell you right now there is none, and he's going to share the same statement.
So, Michael Jordan, you stay away from Hubert Davis. I'll tell you that right now. You stay away from Hubert. Hubert is fine. You don't go to Chapel Hill talking in his ear. Hey, buddy, you want to come down? No, you don't do that. Go. Wes Miller's up in Cincinnati right now. Go talk to him.
No.
Instead of Hubert. Don't talk to either one of them.
We'll get the NBA version of level 1 NCAA violations. We'll be in trouble for tampering for the next 5 years.
Jordan got it. He's got that money in his couch. He's good.
Okay. Mock draft time. Next.
You are listening to The Score with Brett Wiseman on TobaccoRoadSportsRadio.com.
One stop number 6, located just 1 mile west of East Forsyth at 2748 West Mountain Street, Kernersville. A proud supporter of East Forsyth since 1983, serving fresh fried chicken and our famous taters 7 days a week from 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. For a limited time, grab our Wife Saver family meal for only $13.99. 8 pieces of chicken and sides for 4 for just $13.99. One stop. Come see us at 2748 West Mountain Street in Kernersville.
Area softball stars. Register for the Diamond Star Softball Transfer Portal Showcase June 14th and 15th at Bob Lewis Park in Asheville, North Carolina. This showcase is for any player currently in the transfer portal or any JUCO player. Get the opportunity to showcase your skills in front of college coaches from all levels. Over the 2-day event, players participate in evaluations such as softball skills and metrics by College Sports Evaluations, drill and team practice participation, and playing in 3 games. For more information, visit DiamondStarEvents.net or email Coach Ben McKinney at bmckinney@DiamondStarEvents.net.
Hello, my name is Sabrina Kuhn Godfrey. I'm running at large for the Board of Education. Making sure all students have quality, accessible, and equitable education is my priority. It would be an honor to serve our community as a member of the board. Vote Sabrina Coon Godfrey for BOE during early voting or on primary day, May 17th.
Paid for by Sabrina Coon Godfrey for BOE. Ideacom NC, a trusted telecommunications company with 60 years of experience in unified communications. Ideacom is about more than just phone systems. They provide a full range of communication solutions. Whether your business is big or small, from churches to schools to fire departments, depend on the best in cabling, phone systems, IT support, and more from Ideacom of Central North Carolina. Top-rated customer service that cares about your business needs. Check out all the host of solutions at IdeacomNC.com or call it 336-854-4455. Ideacom NC.
Maylor Family Chiropractic and Acupuncture, located at 205 North Cherry Street in Kernersville, is your family chiropractor. Dr. Maylor's goal is to treat and correct the underlying cause of patient symptoms, to alleviate pain, and to restore balance. Maylor Chiropractic treats pain, sports injuries, injuries from auto accidents, and much more. Start performing to the best of your ability, pain-free. Give them a call and set your appointment today at 336-996-3737. Maylor Chiropractic in Kernersville.
Welcome back to The Score with Brett Wiseman here on TobaccoRoadSportsRadio.com.
Back on The Score with Brett Wiseman on Tobacco Road Sports Radio, TobaccoRoadSportsRadio.com. Brett Wiseman joined by Michael Davis, Alex Wober, our producer Desmond Johnson. Folks, we are officially 6 days away from the first round of the NFL Draft.
My
so we
favorite
have
weekend
a
of the year.
surprise for you. If Des will hit the button. I love that sound. It's time for the Scores edition of Mock Drafts. Of course, since I'm the host and I have a small or a large ego, I'll go first. I don't think there is any doubt whatsoever. Also, if you disagree or agree with any of our picks, please comment in the chat, whatever. If you want to tell one of us we're an idiot or a genius or both. I don't know. There are chats available, options for you to tell us whether we're dumb or smart, or tell us if you are dumb or smart, because we'll judge that for ourselves. Aiden Hutchinson going number 1 to the Jacksonville Jaguars. I have that. Yeah. That's self-explanatory at this point. Trayvon Walker's not going to go number 1. He's going to go number 2 to Detroit. I think pretty obviously. Mr. Ikwonu from NC State. I've got him going 3rd to Houston. I've got Evan Neal going 4th to the New York Jets. I feel like those two could swap. Neal could go 3. Ikwonu could go 4. Either way, the Jets and the Texans both need desperate offensive line help. So either of those guys fit. Charles Cross, I think, will go to the New York Giants at 5. So that's a pretty basic top 5. Now the question is the Carolina Panthers.
So you already have all 3 of the top left tackles gone by pick 5.
Correct. Right? So now the Carolina Panthers have a decision to make. Yeah, you desperately need offensive linemen. So you have one of two things you could do here. I don't see them trading up, but you are going to have to trade into the top 5 to get one of those 3 guys. So if you're gonna look, Malik Willis is not a top 10 pick per se in terms of overall ranking. But if you're going to overdraft a position in the National Football League, you better overdraft a quarterback. Now the fear is you end up with Mitchell Trubisky. The upside could be you find Josh Allen. I think you take Malik Willis at 6 if you're Carolina. I don't think you have a choice at that point. If by some miracle one of those 3 left tackles is still on the board at 6, snag him right there, because then you really don't have a choice. If all 3 of those guys are gone, which I think they will be, your only choice is Malik Willis, because the next best offensive lineman isn't going to come until much later in the first round, if at all.
Yeah, if they don't get either of those 3 tackles at 6, then they're not going to Hell, they might not even pick at 6. They might trade down, to be honest.
They might trade back, yeah.
Which they don't have a second or a third because of deals for Sam Darnold and I believe at least a third. I think it was the Stephon Gilmore trade.
Gilmore trade, yeah.
So, yeah, I would agree with that. And I would say probably Malik Willis at 6, too, in that scenario. Although, and I talked about this with Skylar Callahan, my co-host on Believe in Panthers earlier in the week, I'm kind of leaning towards the Panthers pulling the trigger on Baker Mayfield and drafting a left tackle. Skylar actually mentioned a scenario where they draft Malik Willis and go get Baker Mayfield.
And then flip Malik for Baker Mayfield.
No. You just have them both. You would trade Darnold back to Cleveland. Yeah. So Willis would sit a year. Baker Mayfield would get this last year on his 5-year rookie contract. Then you have options. You can choose to keep Willis after he sat a year, or re-sign Baker at a discount, and it makes Scott Fitterer like the smartest GM in the world for taking a chance on him, a former Heisman Trophy winner and former number 1 overall pick that no one's even kicking the tires on. So that Skylar brought that up to me, and I was like, that's actually something I never thought about them doing, but that sounds like exactly something they would do if both those left tackles are gone.
That's insanely smart. But I don't think I trust the Carolina Panthers to do anything that smart.
I don't know. I mean, as long as Coach Rule isn't making the picks.
Given that they only got 25% through building a brand new complex, and now they're just going to put a Spirit Halloween in there in Rock Hill.
Well, that wasn't on. From my understanding, that's not on the Panthers. That's actually on the city of Rock Hill.
It's actually on the city of Rock Hill.
Yeah. So they didn't even. It's funny though that David Tepper has enough money where they already built the thing halfway, pretty much, and can just drop it and be like, well, we'll just move a county over and start over again and build it again just to show so you can see it from 77 from across the way.
This is what happens when you are a next level hedge fund manager.
$16 billion, baby. Richest owner in the NFL. Anyway, on with your mock draft.
On with my mock draft. Yes. The Giants. Willis at 6. Giants. 7 will now go to the Chicago Bears. And I believe Kayvon Thibodeau will be taken by the Chicago Bears. You traded Khalil Mack. Now you have a need. Naturally. Garrett Wilson, you're an Atlanta Falcon at number 8. You are now Matt Ryan's, whoever the Atlanta Falcons have at quarterback's next best target. Because Matt Ryan is a member of the Colts.
Marcus Mariota.
Oh.
That is right, yes. Congratulations. You're now Marcus Mariota's backfield mate. Who knows? They'll probably use him in the backfield at some point. They'll find a way to be weird. It's Atlanta. Seattle, of course, they gave Denver the 9th overall pick. Or they have the 9th overall pick from Denver, I should say. Alex, I think you guys take Kyle Hamilton, the safety out of Notre Dame, at number 9. I think that's the biggest need, given that Jamal Adams has forgotten how to play football. I think you have a need at the other position.
Shots fired.
Am I wrong?
Yeah.
I mean,
I would have to say yes.
I don't know.
No need at safety whatsoever with a Pro Bowl free safety in Quandre Diggs, who we just gave a new contract to. And Jamal has been injured pretty much both seasons we've had him, so I'm not willing to kick the tires on that just yet. I would say that's a dumb
The only
pick.
other thing I think Seattle could do would be to take Ahmad Gardner at 9 when I think pretty clearly he's set to go at 10 or 11. The corner out of Cincinnati.
I feel like Sauce is going to get up in the top 5. Like I
do as well.
You know, I don't know why, but like he's the one name that's been flying up the draft board so fast that I think he's going to push it to the point where when Carolina picks at 6, they're going to have Malik Willis and one of these left tackles still on the board.
All right,
like
but Alex, look at it this way. You don't have to put Hamilton at safety. You could play him anywhere. You could play him in like a Tyrann Mathieu, Mike linebacker kind of thing. The dude runs a 4.5. All right, you could put him anywhere on the football field. He could run and tackle somebody, okay? Plus, you have needs at offensive line, but just like Carolina, the 3 best left tackles in the draft are kaput. They're off the board. So either you trade back and you're committed to Drew Lock, so you're not taking Kenny Pickett.
Are they?
My understanding.
Are
They are somewhat committed, but are still very much in the quarterback hunt.
Yeah. I mean, if you got Drew Lock as your quarterback, I would assume you're always in the quarterback hunt. Like,
right.
You know what I mean? I would just assume that he's not the answer.
I just
told you otherwise.
I'll just say this about Seattle because I don't want to hone on this too long, but I think we're giving them way too much credit. If you have watched the NFL drafts every year, Pete Carroll has, I guess you can take an exception for when Earl Thomas was picked, but you saw how that ended up towards later years.
Yep.
They are not going to pick the smart pick or the obvious choice. It's always somebody that is going to fall later in the first round or could be a second round pick.
And that's part of the reason I have Kyle Hamilton going at 9, because just like the Carolina Panthers, it doesn't strike me that the Seattle Seahawks would do anything smart. The smart thing would be to pick Sauce Gardner.
They're kind of like the Patriots in terms of being overrated when it comes to drafting. Like Bill Belichick has this reputation of, look at the mastermind. He's moving the chess pieces around and they're getting all these pieces. But they don't really have good drafts. Like when you go back and look at their rosters, there's not a lot of like dudes that panned out that Belichick picked. And Seattle's kind of the same way, other than the Legion of Boom and them getting lucky with like dudes like, oh my gosh, my mind just went blank. The cornerback. Richard Sherman. There was a 5th round pick because they knew they were looking for certain body types pretty much. They knew they could get in the later rounds. They built the Legion of Boom off of that pretty much. Brandon Browner, Earl Thomas, the damn Cyborg, Cam Chancellor. I mean, like those were dudes that they kind of, and I think Scott Fitterer was there as a scout.
Yep. All those picks were his.
He's gone now. He's in Carolina. And you see what Carolina's doing with their secondary. Like their secondary room, they were able to let Stephon Gilmore basically just leave, after like 8 games. Because they've got like 6 other cornerbacks that are like 8 years younger than him in that room. So, yeah, Seattle's the same way as New England to me, where it's like you kind of look at them draft day and you're like, oh, they're going to do this again. And they don't really do it at all. So I don't know what they do with this pick.
Look at also this way as well. You mentioned, getting rid of Stephon Gilmore. Same exact thing happened when Pete Carroll and them came in there. They had Marcus Trufant, who was their true number one cornerback, Pro Bowler. They let him walk. And then it was the Sherman, the Chancellor, the Earl Thomas era. So very similar situations between Carolina and Seattle there.
I just wish Carolina hadn't given up a 3rd to New England just to have Gilmore for
half a year.
It wasn't even half a year. I think it came in like almost November.
I think it was like 6. It was like 5 or 6 games, if anything.
But I mean, J.C. Horn was out. Dante Jackson had just got hurt. So, I mean, I get it, but not a 3rd. Good Lord. So, New England's good at that. They're good at fleecing people for players. But I don't know if they turn around.
Before we continue, on note of scheduling, the NFL, when they announce their schedule on May 12th, is expected to announce a first-of-its-kind Christmas Day triple header. So, be on the lookout for that. Also of note, the Packers and Rams are the 2 teams showing the most interest in Deebo Samuel. So, as we approach the draft, with one of the top receivers in football being on the trade block, keep that in mind. And for a team that needs a receiver, the Washington Commanders, Drake London, he's projected like 13 to 15. I think the wide receiver from USC goes 11 to the Washington, I almost said Generals, Washington Commanders. No, they're not playing the Globetrotters every night. Derek Stingley Jr. is somebody that's been pitted to go 12th to Minnesota. Minnesota has a definite need at cornerback. There's not a lot that's known about Derek Stingley because he's recovering from a foot injury. He only played 3 games in 2021 for LSU, but he was insane in 2019. He was teammates with Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, Terrence Marshall, Racey McMath. 2 of those receivers are making hay in the NFL right now. So if you're Minnesota, that's one of the best corners in the draft. That's the best corner in the draft not named Sauce Gardner. So Sauce Gardner being off the board at that point, I think Minnesota, your choice is simple. Houston, all but one of their wide receivers is on the last year of their contract. Jamison Williams will be sitting there at 12 to 15-ish. Houston, it would behoove them to take him at 13. Jermaine Johnson, I should say, easy pick for the Ravens, especially since Zadarius Smith backed out of his contract. Trent McDuffie, I see him going to the Miami Dolphins at 15. The Dolphins do have a definite need at corner. They've got to pair somebody over there, and I think, with They've just got to put somebody on the other side over there. They've got all the offensive pieces they needed. I feel like they're missing that other elite corner. Yeah, they have Rhodes, Xavier Howard, I should say.
I have a prediction. Normally you see a run of teams trading up into the top 10 to get a quarterback more often than not. I predict this year you're going to see that same thing, but it's not going to be for quarterbacks. It's going to be for wide receivers. The teams are going to trade up to the top 10 to pick up a Jamison Williams or someone that you think might be outside the top 10. It only takes one team to fall in love with him. And look at what's happening in the market. The players that are getting the most money right now are wide receivers on second contracts. And teams are going to start to realize we could just go draft a top 10 wide receiver and have him on a rookie deal for 4 or 5 years instead of waiting for him to be, 27 and pay him $100 and something million and $80 million of it's guaranteed. And we don't even know if he's going to finish the contract out. Like, I would much rather have 2 top 10 wide receivers that I've drafted in their peak right now than a 27, 28-year-old wide receiver that more than likely is not going to play well after I give him the bag. So you're going to see teams, contenders, trading up into the top 10. Kansas City, you're going to probably see Kansas City move up into the top 10 and get a wide receiver to give Mahomes weapons with Hill gone.
I'm going to say 2 other things before we move on to everybody else's mocks. Kenny Pickett, I see him potentially going 18th in the New Orleans Saints. That could be an interesting tidbit there. If not, if he falls to 20, I think Pittsburgh snags him right then and there, strictly for football purposes, without getting into anything else other than Adam Schefter's a complete and total void of all care in the world and should be reprimanded for that tweet that he put out announcing Dwayne Haskins' death. Treylon Burks and Chris Olave, welcome to Green Bay. When you haven't drafted a wide receiver in the first round since 2002, you would be absolutely beyond stupid if you didn't at least take one, let alone double up. Chris Olave is the best route runner in the draft, period. I said it. Treylon Burks is a 4.4, 4.5 speed guy. There's your Marquez Valdez-Scantling deep threat guy again. But unlike Marquez Valdez-Scantling, he doesn't have stones for hands.
I'm not going to believe the Packers are going to take a wide receiver until they actually do it in the first round. Like,
I'm not either.
I have no reason to believe
I'm
that they're going to
Look, I'm going to manifest it now. As you can see, I am a fan. But I'm going to manifest it now. But I'm not.
I'm hoping for you. I got fingers crossed.
I'm not just going to go out there and say it's going to happen because I've been here for the Rashawn Garys. Okay.
It seems like
I know how this works.
They get like 4th round wide receivers and turn them into like 100.
Equanimous St. Brown, Greg Jennings, James Jones,
Donald Driver. Like, you just go down the list. Yeah.
Donald Driver was an 8th round pick. I think he was almost Mr. Irrelevant.
We're going up against a break. You want to get Mike announces mocks in real quick here?
Yes, or we can take a break and get him in after that.
We can do that.
Let's do that.
Yeah. You are listening to The Score with Brett Wiseman on TobaccoRoadSportsRadio.com. Franchise players.
Welcome back. Sports Channel 8's Ben Swain. How you doing, man?
I love that you guys are doing what you're doing. I love that we're doing what we're doing because the local sports fan is really underserved in sports radio here in North Carolina. Being able to, Monday morning after the New Carolina game, being able to listen to local guys talk about the local game.
Franchise players every Friday afternoon at 5 p.m. on TobaccoRoadSportsRadio.com and at 6 p.m. on WCOG 1320 AM and WTOB 988. Kim Source Direct is a single source supplier. In business since 2007, they have over 80,000 products for customers just like you. Located in the heart of North Carolina, they supply cleaning products all throughout the Southeast. Whether you're a commercial business, office, or municipal building, looking for wholesale cleaning products, chemicals, cleaning equipment, or service, they've got you covered. Please reach out and start saving money today. Stop by their store open to the public and save. Kim Source Direct, 1207 South Park Drive in Kernersville. Give them a call at 336-515-9990. Order from the website at kimsourcedirect.com.
Hello, my name is Sabrina Kuhn Godfrey. I'm running at large for the Board of Education. Making sure all students have quality, accessible, and equitable education is my priority. It would be an honor to serve our community as a member of the board. Vote Sabrina Kuhn Godfrey for BOE. during early voting or on primary day, May 17th.
Paid for by Sabrina Kuhn Godfrey for BOE. We love sports.
Joe Louis, the greatest boxer ever lived.
Not only do we love sports, but we love to debate sports.
He was bad in Captain Clay. He bad in Sugar Ray. He bad in that. Who that? The new boy got Mike Tyson. Look like a bulldog. He bad in him too. He can whip Mike Tyson ass. He whip all their ass.
For the best sports analysis in the triad.
What about Rocky Marciano?
In-depth local coverage of your favorite schools and teams.
Let me tell you something. One fall, Rocky Marciano was good, but compared to Joe Louis, Rocky Marciano ain't.
And of course, the best sports debate in the triad.
Beat Joe Louis's ass.
Welcome to Tobacco Road Sports Radio.
Joe Louis was 75 years old when he fought.
You're welcome.
I don't know how old he was, but got an ass.
Beamer Tire and Auto Repair, now with 3 locations across the Triad in High Point, Greensboro, and our new location in Kernersville. Beamer Tire and Auto offers full-service auto repair, all tire brands, free alignment checks, oil changes, and more. In Kernersville, check out the no appointment needed Quick Lube shop. Check out their thousands of 5-star ratings via Google and Yelp. They care because they know that you can go anywhere. So try a shop with a beating heart, not a bottom line. Beamer Tire and Auto Repair. Visit us on Facebook or at beamertire.com.
Welcome back to The Score with Brett Wiseman here on TobaccoRoadSportsRadio.com.
Welcome back to The Score with Brett Wiseman here on Tobacco Road Sports Radio, TobaccoRoadSportsRadio.com. Des, tell us what it's still time for. With the first 15 picks, we don't know which one of you is going to go first. Duel it out with on-air rock, paper, scissors. But no Lizard Spock.
Rock, paper, scissors?
We can actually, you can do this digitally.
Hold on.
We can do a digital rock,
digitally?
paper, scissors.
What?
Yeah. Well, not rock, paper, scissors, but we can do,
Wait a minute. Hold on.
Flip a
I can
coin?
ask my virtual assistant. Echo, flip a coin.
Tails.
What? You gotta get someone to.
It's tails. Michael, would you like to receive or defer to the second half of the show?
I will defer to the second half.
Alex.
Sounds good to me.
All right.
Would you like to
All
kick
right.
that way or no? You just go first.
Okay, so let's start it off, I think, with the most obvious decision here with pick number 1. As much as I would love to see Aiden Hutchinson stay in Michigan, I think it's a pretty obvious choice for the first pick. The defense for Jacksonville is pretty mediocre, and pairing Aiden Hutchinson with Josh Allen, I mean, that's a nightmare for opposing offenses. I mean, so I think we're pretty clear on that pick. Number 2, just like you said, Brett, Trayvon Walker. Word in Detroit right now is that they don't really like Kayvon Thibodeau, and I don't see them drafting an offensive tackle after taking Penei Sewell in last year's draft, so I'll stick with Walker there. At 3, this is when it gets a little bit interesting with the Houston Texans. They, in my opinion, had probably the worst draft class last season in the NFL. I mean, they'd had
Not new for them to do that, but
Exactly. So here I think you have a lot of options if you're the Texans, but you also have to remember that they have that 13th overall pick. So whatever they take here, they could cover their second need at 13. So I think they will take Kayvon Thibodeau because that defensive line needs a lot of help. Ross Blaylock and Jonathan Grenard aren't going to get it done. So you take Kayvon there.
Like you said, that second need's going to get taken care of at 13. Like we said in the last segment, all of their receivers except one are on final years of contracts. So they got to go out and get somebody that they're going to have control of for at least 2 or 3 years.
Absolutely. And the wide receiver class this year is pretty deep. So I think you can wait for 13 potentially. We move on to 4 here to the Jets. This is where we start to get a little bit different. I think they need to go corner here at 4 because I don't think a corner that they want is going to be there at number 10. So they're going to have to take it now. They have Carl Lawson coming back on the defensive line. And like we just said, Walker, Kayvon, and Hutchinson are gone. I think the Jets got better at offensive line in the offseason. And they only signed one corner, and that's DJ Reed. And no offense, he's an ex-Seahawk, but he's not going to get it done by himself.
Former Grimsley Worley, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, that's indeed
that is
correct.
wrong.
Yes.
So you're probably wondering now, whoa, Alex, where's the offensive tackles at? So this is where the first one comes off the board, and that'll be at number 5 to the New York Giants. But I have Ike Ekwonu going here at number 5. I think he's the best.
He goes first.
Wait, who did you say was going to the Jets? Did you say a name?
Sauce Gardner.
Gotcha. Okay.
Sauce Gardner. So Sauce Gardner
fourth.
goes to the Jets at corner to help DJ Reed, and they really badly need a corner. But Ike Ekwonu at 5 to the Giants. They have the 7th pick, so they know Carolina is probably going to go quarterback or offensive tackle, maybe corner as well. So they
so in that case, that brings us to the most important point of your mock draft, which is 2 of those 3 guys are still on the board. Do you take them and then trade back up into the first round?
They don't really have anything to trade with
that would be the first round.
That's the problem. Unless they got rid of players, which I don't know they want to do. I don't know if there's a player in this draft you trade up for if you're Carolina.
Other than a quarterback.
I don't think you trade up for any of the quarterbacks in this draft. I wouldn't. I mean, you're already at 6. Like, just to move from 6 into like the top 3, you're gonna have to give up like 2 first-round picks. Like
at least.
I don't see any quarterback in this draft worth that. You can get
Alex,
Willis.
what do you do here? Do you
I'll
go
tell
for
you,
the quarterback or?
I'll tell you what you do here. I'm going to kind of go with Dez on this one, what he was talking about. Baker Mayfield has been tied to the Panthers, probably the most out of any team. Seattle probably being the second one there. I think they do end up striking a deal with Baker. If the Cleveland Browns release him, I think that's an easy pickup for the Carolina Panthers. So I think here you take what is probably the biggest need for you in Carolina. And I've heard a lot of scouts at the Senior Bowl talking about how offensive tackle is what they're going to do. And I think Evan Neal is the perfect pick there at number 6.
I've been on Neal for a couple of weeks now. If not Willis, if Willis is gone, because I've heard Willis linked to Detroit at 2. If Willis isn't there, that's the main thing I've been hearing is Detroit's been wanting to get Willis at 2. Which would be the most Detroit thing to do.
I feel so much sympathy for that organization because my team has beaten up on them consistently for the past 50 years.
You feel bad about that? You feel sympathy towards them? You should feel
just
delighted.
Like I feel somewhat sympathetic towards the Pittsburgh Pirates for having beaten up on them for the past 50 years. Yeah, to an extent. But after that, no. I share no sympathy because you dug that hole yourself.
Yeah, you don't show sympathy for the rivals. You don't see us showing sympathy for the Wolfpack right now.
Rival.
They got like 3 dudes.
It's not a rival if you've played 3 meaningful games against them in the past 25 years.
Well, I'll say this about
Detroit. Only 2 of the 3 I was alive for. The other one, Barry Sanders, was held to -3 yards rushing. That was 1993.
Barry would always have like 5 runs where he'd run backwards and lose yards. So by the time you got to the game,
game he ran backwards on the frozen tundra when it was like ice rink conditions in the playoffs, and he tried to run backwards from Reggie White and Gilbert Brown.
That usually doesn't work out.
Not a good idea.
Where were you at, Alex? What pick?
I am at number 7 with the Giants' 2nd pick. So hopefully Panthers fans get Baker and are excited about Evan Neal if that does happen. But at 7, the Giants got their offensive tackle to pair with Andrew Thomas, who they didn't draft too long ago. And as you know, the first 3 picks were edge rushers, and the Giants do need an edge rusher very badly to probably pair with Leonard Williams, who's been a little bit up and down his career. And I think the only one you can really make a case for there at 7 is Jermaine Johnson out of Florida State. I think Jermaine Johnson is a very good scheme fit for them. He can play the 3-4. He can play the 4-3. And if they get that offensive tackle in Ike Ekwonu, that's a little bit of a back and forth they can use in practice there to help get those 2 players a lot better and develop quicker. So I got Jermaine Johnson at 7. And if this is one of my favorite picks, honestly, the Atlanta Falcons, because, I mean, you go look at their depth chart and look at that wide receiver room, and it's horrendous. I don't think it's any question they have the worst wide receiver room in the NFL. Unfortunately, Calvin Ridley had to get his prop bets in before 1 o'clock on a Sunday afternoon.
Do you think that he's going to bet on them taking a wide receiver?
Yes. That would be classic.
I guarantee that would be the funniest thing ever.
And then he's got to tweet about it. Like, well, guess who I just bet on?
That hits.
We've got a prop bet from not Calvin Ridley's account. So
that's crazy too, because they used to have like one of the best wide receiver rooms in the NFL, like
2 years ago.
Yeah, it wasn't even a long time ago. Like,
if anything, they in Green Bay right now have the 2 worst.
They could. They actually very well.
Hey, don't sleep on Sammy Watkins, man. Don't sleep on Sammy.
Can Sammy play 17 games?
No. He can play the first 2, and he'll be amazing.
Yeah, I thought Devin Funchess was going to be this is a good veteran move. Yeah, and then he broke his back in half and never played a game.
Devin Funchess is out there catching balls with oven mitts, pretty much. Like, he's just not. He's okay, but he's not.
I'm telling you, we need to wrap Sammy Watkins in bubble wrap since we're paying him $4 million. Go ahead.
So the pick for the Atlanta Falcons here, I think they need someone that kind of replicates Calvin Ridley and a mixture of Julio Jones. And I love Garrett Wilson. I love Jamison Williams. But for me, the pick is Drake London. He's a 6'4" wide receiver. I think he's got that sort of physique that the Falcons usually have. Marcus Mariota, he needs all the help he can get. So I think he's the biggest target you can get from Mariota. So I got him at 8, Drake London. Oh, it looks like we're up to the Seattle Seahawks at 9. What a great pick.
Oh, boy.
So
can we get a sound effect on this one?
Yeah, that'd be great.
Actually,
not that one.
Oh, well, I don't know what he picked, but
he has to make the selection first. He's going to walk up to the podium, read the card.
Well, give me the selection, and then I'll give you the sound.
Okay. With the number 9 pick, if I'm not going to do a trade here because I'm just picking the selections. Obviously, I think Seattle's probably one of the top teams.
You're taking this as if your organization was smart enough.
Correct. Yeah, which is wishful thinking. So, I did change this actually mid-show. I had them going for Trevor Penning, the offensive tackle, because they like to go outside the box and they like to go for that guy that people are like, really? They're at number 9?
Yeah.
So
they go for that guy.
I'm going to change it up. I feel like this is kind of a rebirth for the Seahawks this year, a really new team. This is a fresh team, as John Schneider says, fresh juice, fresh energy. I'm going to go with Charles Cross, the offensive tackle. If you've looked at our depth chart, we have Jake Curhan and Stone Forsythe as our offensive tackles. You probably have no idea who those guys are.
Yeah, Stone Forsythe sounds like somebody I went to high school with.
So number 9, I got Charles Cross, 5-star recruit coming out of high school. He can play pretty much any system. He's a pass protector, which is exactly what Seattle needs. The funniest thing about this pick is how Seattle will probably go offensive tackle and try to build the offensive line as soon as Russell Wilson leaves the building.
I was just about to say, they neglected the O-line for like a decade, and as soon as Russell Wilson's gone, like, you know what we need right now? We need a left tackle. We need to go draft somebody in the first round for the offensive line. Why didn't we think of this before? Like, that would be
because they're too dumb not to.
If I'm Russell Wilson, I'd be in Denver throwing things. Like, are you kidding me right now? I've been hit more than any quarterback in the league since 2011, and now you're getting on. Oh God, you just.
If anything, if I'm Russell Wilson sitting at home, if I'm Russell Wilson sitting in my house on top of a mountaintop in suburban Denver, I'm going to place my prop bet as not Danger Russ on the Seahawks taking an O-lineman and at least try and make some more money off his old organization's ineptitude.
Well, with that pick, yeah,
there you go.
That's the sound effect.
That goes down.
There we go.
I'm going to try and breeze through these next 5, but I do have good reasoning for most of these picks. At number 10,
might have to push Michael to the next segment, but we'll give him his due.
We'll try to get through these. So the Jets at 10. The Jets at 10.
He did defer to the second hour of the show for the record. So
yeah.
Very true. So we had the Jets pick Sauce Gardner at 4 to a cornerback room that needed a lot of help. Here at 10, you could make a case for offensive line. You can make a case for defensive line. I think you make a case for wide receiver because if the Jets don't bring in somebody that can help the offense, things are going to get really bad for Zach Wilson, and they don't want to leave him stranded on an island, I feel like. So bringing in Wilson –
they don't want him to see ghosts.
Yeah, that thing too, yeah. So the Wilson to Wilson connection is something I can really see happening. So Garrett Wilson for me is going to go number 10 from Ohio State to the Jets. Let's see. And now we have the Washington, as Brett said, the Commandos. No, just kidding. The Commanders, Generals, whatever. Who knows? We are Commanders. Bum, 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 bum. This is one I had a hard time putting this guy at 11 because from what I'm hearing throughout the Twitter sphere is that Derek Stingley Jr. will not fall out of the top 10. I, on the other hand, do think he will fall out of the top 10. And I think he'll go just right outside, number 11, to the Washington Commanders. Really need cornerbacks over there. A lot of people have them going wide receiver. I disagree. I think their receiver room's fine if Curtis Samuel can stay healthy and Denami Brown.
That is if you hang on to Terry McLaurin. So
that too. They got to pay him. So 11, I got a corner. That could definitely change later on. And then 12, this is, Brett, you have this guy going to the Seahawks. I have Kyle Hamilton. I think if the Vikings can somehow get Hamilton to pair with Harrison Smith, that could be a really good secondary for Minnesota to pair against Aaron Rodgers.
Then you've got two of the most versatile safeties ever. I mean, I get Tyrann Mathieu vibes from Kyle Hamilton in his level of versatility. Harrison Smith basically plays as a linebacker half the time he plays for Minnesota anyway. So you can use both of those guys in that kind of Mike linebacker, nickel, corner, safety, spy kind of scenario.
Yeah, so I think, he could go top 10. I think I've been hearing he's going to fall, so I got him going 12. 13, the Houston Texans are back on the board. They went with Kayvon Thibodeau in my draft at number 3. They identified the edge rush that they badly need. Their offensive line actually got better in the offseason, believe it or not, but they really don't have many options here at 13. I mean, you could go corner. I really like Trent McDuffie. Love him. I think he could be a big steal in the draft wherever he goes to. But I think they're going to shore up that right tackle position. They got Tunsil on the other side. They could use another good guy like that. So Trevor Penning out of Northern Iowa, I have going number 13 to the Texans. And because, the Texans have a terrible draft class, Penning doesn't excite me very much, coming from a very small school. So I had the Texans taking him at 13.
Hey, we went to a small school. All three of the four of us did. We went to a group of 5. I don't want to hear it.
That's true.
I don't know if living in Boone you could count App State as a small school. Definitely a small town, though.
The town does get exponentially bigger when all of us show up and then leave.
That's true.
But,
not a lot
let me go ahead and get through these last 2 picks. We've got the Baltimore Ravens at 14. They're in a weird spot because they had so many injuries before the season started last year. People are throwing out cornerback. They're throwing out wide receiver. I don't think they need any of those. I think when you get those guys back from injury this next season, I think they'll be better than they were. But I think you got to look at the defensive line. You got Calais Campbell coming back. How long is he really going to play for? And while he's in there, you might as well bring in somebody that he could get going quick.
And you thought you were getting Zadarius Smith to fill that big need for an edge rusher, and now you're not. So
exactly. So I have them going with a very controversial pick. He's the oldest player in the draft, 27 years old, Jordan Davis out of Georgia. I had Deontay Wyatt here first, Jordan Davis's teammate, just because he's a bit younger and has a little bit more time to develop. But they shouldn't have problem developing Jordan Davis. He's already 27 years old. I mean, he gets to the NFL, he's pretty much a veteran already. So we'll see if the Ravens go that direction. But to finish off my mock draft at 15, you got the Philadelphia Eagles, who they had originally 3 first-round picks this year. They gave one of them up to the Saints, but got one back next year. I have them continuing the Alabama route with Jamison Williams at number 15. They drafted Devontae Smith last year, and it's sounding like I'm blanking on his name. The other wide receiver they took before Devontae Smith looks like he's getting out of that building. It was the receiver they took before Justin Jefferson. I cannot remember his name right now. But
the kid that's in Cincinnati?
I can't remember. It's not.
The kid from Alabama that Cincinnati drafted, or not from Alabama, from LSU that Cincinnati.
Yeah, Jamar Chase.
Yeah, Jamar Chase. You talking about Jamar Chase?
No, not Jamar Chase. This is, where is he? I'm looking up their depth chart right now because I feel bad for not remembering this. And Jalen Reagor.
Yeah, there you go.
Jalen Reagor looks like he's not really panning out in this Philadelphia Eagles offense. So I feel like they're going to try and replace that. Devontae Smith didn't exactly have the greatest year last year. Why not bring in the trio of Alabama players? You got Jalen Hurts, Devontae Smith, and now you would have Jamison Williams. And it's exactly what Eagles fans have been preaching since last year. We need better receivers. Why did we not take Justin Jefferson? Well, there's your answer right there. Jamison Williams, number 15, is the final pick of my mock draft.
Yep, there's your Crimson Tide trifecta, Philly. Don't throw snowballs at your GM, especially if he dresses like Santa Claus, because that's just – but you'll probably do something like that. You're the city of Philadelphia. Michael deferred his choice to the second half of the show. He will return from the break and kick off said second hour. And hopefully, unlike Desmond Howard, he won't leave during the halftime or mid-show break to clean his jersey off and not be back for the second half opening kickoff. Michael will come with his top 15 mock draft after this. Then Steve Wiseman will tell us about Duke's basically entire starting five declaring for the NBA draft and why on God's green earth Jay Wright really retired. Yeah. You made me play the crab rave meme now. All right, let's take a break.
You are listening to The Score with Brett Wiseman on TobaccoRoadSportsRadio.com.
It's Donald Ware, host of Box to Row. Got a packed show for you. PGA golfer, Harold Garner, actress, Jeffrey Maya, NFL draft hopeful, Marquise Bella FAMU. All join me right here on Box to Row.
From press box to press row with Donald Ware, Saturdays at 9 a.m. on TobaccoRoadSportsRadio.com. TRSR Triad Hot Deals, the top deals on sports tickets, dining, and fun in the Triad. Visit TRSRTriadHotDeals.com right now and sign up to get the best area deals in the Triad every week. Powered by Tobacco Road Sports Radio and SportsCarolinaMonthly.com. This month, save big on Carolina Cobras season tickets. Go to 7 home games this season for only $45. That's an $80 value. Buy your 2022 season ticket package now with this exclusive deal from Triad Hot Deals. Visit TRSRTriadHotDeals.com. Visit the sports tab and secure your package. Limited number available. That's TRSRTriadHotDeals.com. Area softball stars. Register for the Diamond Stars Softball Transfer Portal Showcase June 14th and 15th at Bob Lewis Park in Asheville, North Carolina. This showcase is for any player currently in the transfer portal or any JUCO player. Get the opportunity to showcase your skills in front of college coaches from all levels. Over the 2-day event, players participate in evaluations such as softball skills and metrics by College Sports Evaluations, drill and team practice participation, and playing in 3 games. For more information, visit DiamondStarEvents.net or email Coach Ben McKinney at bmckinney@DiamondStarEvents.net. Blue Naples Pizzeria in Kernersville is now hiring. Come work for one of the best Italian restaurants in the Triad. Currently hiring dishwashers, cooks, front cashiers, and more. Great hours, great pay. Give them a call at 336-993-7707 or stop by and inquire at 1519 Union Cross Road in Kernersville. Start working this week. Blue Naples Pizza.
One stop number 6, located just 1 mile west of East Forsyth at 2748 West Mountain Street, Kernersville. A proud supporter of East Forsyth since 1983, serving fresh fried chicken and our famous taters 7 days a week from 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. For a limited time, grab our Wife Saver family meal for only $13.99. 8 pieces of chicken and sides for 4 for just $13.99. One stop. Come see us at 2748 West Mountain Street in Kernersville.
This is Coach Rez, head coach of your Carolina Cobras Arena football team, the 2018 National Arena League champions. Join us for our 4th year in the Snake Pit at the Greensboro Coliseum. Be a part of the Carolina Cobras tailgating group before every home game starting April 30th. Season tickets are now on sale for as low as 2 for $128. You can reach the ticket office at 336-455-7232 or at carolinacobras.com. Fear the Fang.
Welcome back to The Score with Brett Wiseman here on TobaccoRoadSportsRadio.com.
We're back here on The Score with Brett Wiseman on Tobacco Road Sports Radio, TobaccoRoadSportsRadio.com. Brett Wiseman joined by Alex Wilbur, Michael Davis, our producer Desmond Johnson, and the one and only Steve Wiseman. Since we spoke yesterday and I asked you to be on, I believe it's now 4 of the Duke starting 5 have declared for the NBA draft. Dez is penning his goodbye letters as we speak.
It's not really a surprise, is it?
I would think you'd want to have him back since they beat him. So why would you not beat him again?
You would think, Anyways,
actually, I guess AJ Griffin. I'm not sure if he's officially announced yet, but he's going to today, so it's a matter of when. So
okay, so
anyway,
it's
he's going to be a lottery pick.
5. So
it's 4.
Yeah,
Wendell Moore, Paulo, Mark Williams, AJ.
Yep.
And Trevor Keels is yet to announce. I would expect him to announce and maybe retain eligibility kind of thing. So the other 4 are gone. He's the only one who's maybe going to linger. So yeah. And then Jeremy Roach is the other, it would be there's 6 of them that played a lot. Theo John doesn't count. So of those top 6, 5 will have declared, I think, by the time the weekend is over, and the deadline's Sunday night, right? So they got to do it before then. This is the way it goes. It's every year, so it's fine. Yeah.
So my question for you, Steve, is: look, a lot of the recruiting's already been done, but what does this mean for the program and for John Shire, who will be entering year 1? I'm sure he was anticipating losing at least part of this core of guys, but
right.
What does this mean for the program, not only next year, but the next couple of years?
Yeah, it's more of the same, and they have 6 guys coming in. 4 of them are 5-star guys, so they'll recycle again after next year and do it again next year. That's what it means though is now if Keels does stay in the draft pool and not come back, they're going to need another veteran guard. So transfer portal time for that. I think they're already looking for a big man like Theo John came in last year, and that role he served behind. They have 3 7-footers. One of them, Christian Reeves, is a 3-star guy. He's going to be a red shirt and a project guy. So Derek Lively is the number 1 player in the class. He's 7'1", 220. So he's more Chet Holmgren than Paulo Banchero, sounds like, right? At that size. And then a 6'11" kid, Kyle Filipowski, 6'11", 230, is also in this class. So they're going to have numbers in the front court with those 2 guys. Mark Mitchell, a 6'8" power forward. But they're going to want a veteran guy like Theo John to come in and have that same role that Theo did off the bench this year. And then, so with Keels being kind of up in the air, they're going to need another experienced guy in the backcourt. Joey Baker is coming back. He didn't play in the NCAA tournament. He had hip surgery as soon as the season ended. So that explains that a little bit. But Joey is not a guy that you want to have out there 20 minutes a game. He's too exposed on defense. So he's a veteran. He'll be the captain next year. But they're going to need another veteran guard. So that will be the impact of this over the next couple of 6 weeks here.
And you gave out some good names right there as to guys they can go after. So you're going to have to go into the college version of free agency, which kind of brings me to my next question is, we know about Jay Wright's retirement. We've all heard about it by now. Part of me thinks that it has to do with Jay Wright's one of those old-fashioned guys, and I think that had a lot to do with Kay and Roy Williams' respective decisions, is they saw the writings on the walls as far as NIL and the transfer portal. Jay Wright has seen that. I think that factored into his decision greatly. And I think Jim Boeheim is probably weighing the same kind of questions in his mind as are a lot of the old guard of experienced coaches. Steve, you don't know Jay Wright as well as, some others in that market might, but I think you know enough to definitively say whether or not that you think that was the main reason.
Yeah, that's definitely a huge part of it. I mean, it's a whole different world now with what's going on in college sports. And I'm not saying it's bad. It's just different.
Yeah.
And that's not what these guys all were about. And they don't begrudge that. I don't think they begrudge the kids making money. I don't think that's it at all. But I just think it adds different elements to their job that wasn't there before.
I don't think none of us think any of this is a bad thing per se, especially when we saw the success that Wake Forest had as a result of the transfer portal, those here in this area. And we're not by any means saying that these kids shouldn't go out and make their due off of their names, images, and likenesses aside from the school licenses. But it, like you said, it adds a great deal to the job description that Jay Wright didn't sign up for.
Right. And you've got in this new, you said college free agency, it's going to be part of this from now on. It used to be by the time you got to April, this time of year, you knew who your roster was going to be. You start building toward the next season, off-season workouts, all that kind of stuff. You can't do that anymore. You got to wait until June probably, right? Till you really know.
Right.
And then because of the NBA thing, and now you got kids like Keels, let's for example, let's say, who will enter the draft, and now NIL is available. So now he's got to factor that in there. I think Caleb Love might be going through the same thing, Des. There's a guy, anybody who's on the fringe, who's not guaranteed a first round pick, right? Like we're talking about lottery guys. They're in the going through the draft process, but they're also thinking, hey, this offer's out there for NIL, and that's offers out there. I could make a couple $100,000 and stay at school. And maybe I should do that, right? Instead of, turning pro, and you're not guaranteed anything once you get there. So, because to these companies for NIL, they're more marketable as a Duke or Carolina player than they would be in the G League, right? Let's face it.
Right.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, by far. And that's actually I'm glad you even mentioned that, Steve, because I felt like the Blue Bloods were going to be in a position of even more power because of everything you just said. Because if you're playing for UCLA, if you're playing for Carolina, I know one of the very first things Hubert Davis did when he became head coach was to create their NIL program that attaches the Carolina brand to the player, where a lot of schools don't have it set up that way. So you can even exponentially make more money as UNC point guard Caleb Love than you would be as Caleb Love, college basketball player. Like if you're able to use the Carolina logo and things like that in this stuff, which is the first thing he did when he became head coach, that made me feel like, okay, Hubert gets it. He understands what's about to happen. Shire,
exactly.
Same way. Yeah.
Exactly. And last year when Duke launched theirs, they didn't allow kids to use the Duke logo.
See,
that's in the process of changing. I'm sure they'll match what everybody else, how it goes. But Hubert was already ahead of it, and that's good.
And I figured because of that kids would stay longer at Duke, Carolina, Kentucky, Kansas, UCLA, because they always have a guy that's supposed to be a first round pick. And then whatever happens freshman year, maybe they're kind of fringe, but they've been told their whole life they're trying to get pushed out. Now, hey, I can make $100,000 staying another 8 months and playing sophomore year and up in my draft stock.
Exactly.
As opposed to just leaving and going to the G League for $50,000 or whatever it is, and nobody sees you again.
Right.
So I thought it would help them. With Duke, though, it looks like they're doing the same thing with bringing in 6 guys like every year as 5 guys leave. Do you think that's going to keep happening?
I don't think it will. I think what you're saying will over time here start to build out. I mean, when Shire recruited this class, NIL wasn't a thing yet, right? It was July 1st before it was done, and a lot of these guys committed before then, but or around that time. But anyway, yeah, you're right. Again, like the ground is shifting underneath us as we walk, so it's going to be a process. But it did help Kentucky this week, right? Look what happened there with Oscar Tshiebwe, right? I mean, that he definitely would have been gone. There's no way he'd be coming back if it wasn't for the NIL money. So yeah, the Blue Bloods are. I mean, what a surprise! It's going to help them as it usually does.
Everything helps them. Although Kansas helps themselves, just not legally. Yeah, I said it.
The national
I have to say, can I say on that point, as I was watching as I sat in the Superdome and watched that game, I thought, am I really watching this? I'm going to close my eyes. Did I really see this happen? I'm thinking in a few years it might disappear from my memory, like Will Smith,
Will Smith picked the wrong, the worst possible time to forget his Men in Black memory eraser pin when he went up there and slapped Chris Rock at the Oscars. If there was any time to use that tool, it was that exact moment. Instead, he's been banned from the Oscars for 10 years.
Hey, I mean, honestly, I think everything he thought in his mind would happen to him happened to him. Nothing really severe happened. I mean, there's only a handful of dudes who can just walk up on the Oscar stage and do that. So Maybe
and
two.
not be arrested.
Maybe only
Right.
two. Will Smith and like Stone Cold Steve Austin or something.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know. No, that you know what? Next
Tom
year,
Cruise.
let's script the Oscars out even more, and like have scripted like Stone Cold Steve Austin just busts out and
Have the glass
rips one of those
shatter. It comes
stupid
out.
little wooden chairs in half and throws it at somebody. I don't know.
Gosh.
But yeah, I mean, you know, the NIL thing is, I think that's a definite part of it. And you said, you know, when teams don't know what their rosters are going to be, so you have to wait for those things to play out. I don't think that's something that Jay Wright wanted to necessarily be a part of. The other part of this is for guys that are weighing their options between, oh, okay, I can make more money if I stay at Carolina and sign with body armor or something like that, theoretically. Or if I go ahead and declare and get picked in the second round and end up as James Bouknight and just get shipped from back and forth from the G League every 5 hours, which it seemed like happened this year. I could stay in school and you know, make the money. But I can declare, like Dalen Terry just did from Arizona, a part of that great team. He just declared, but he's retaining his eligibility. The rules are not what they were 10, 15 years ago when Wake Forest was basically screwed for the next 3 years because LD Williams left early and hired an agent. And then the ruling was if you hired an agent, you could not come back.
Right.
You could declare and come back, but if you hired an agent, you were done. You had foregone your eligibility. LD Williams left after his second or third year. Wake Forest ended up mediocre for the next few years. He hired an agent and never played any higher than the D League, never played a game in the actual NBA. So now the rules are different, where you can declare and retain your eligibility regardless of whether or not you hire an agent.
And you can go on tour, you know, you can take trips for workouts that used to not be allowed.
Yep.
Remember, you had once
Yep.
you started laying out money, or the team paid for you
Yep.
to go.
Once you started
That's
working
all
out, it was
different. It's
done.
all
Yep.
better. It's all better. It's what it should be. This is fine.
Yep.
So,
And remember that's, you know, remember that as we go forward here. Steve, more of a quick thing before we get in a break. There was an interesting article you put out with your good friend from the News and Observer about the ACC's new headquarters, which for some reason we've been fighting over more than other more important logistical things within the ACC,
Right.
because school presidents like, you know, the ones at Syracuse and Pittsburgh think that Greensboro shouldn't be the location for the ACC headquarters. For some unknown reason, Orlando has emerged as option 3 for the ACC's new headquarters, outside of keeping it in Greensboro or moving it to Charlotte, or this plan from the city of Orlando, which I believe is a multi-million-dollar facility, if I understand that correctly from your writing.
yes, they're kind of rolling it out there. You know, of course, now again, not to get too political, but things are changing with Disney right now in the state of Florida, as we know, with their tax status and all that stuff. So that may blow this whole thing up, right?
Yeah. Bear in mind, Disney is basically its own town.
Right,
Lake
right.
Buena Vista is its own town. That's
Yes.
not Orlando. Okay.
Right.
Continue.
Exactly. So anyway, that could all change. I think, you know, it's a matter of the ACC doing their due diligence, getting as many people involved in the bidding as possible, so you get the best deal. Right. That's
right.
Basic business. So, yeah, I think I'd be surprised if it don't end up in Charlotte anyway. But I think Orlando is a serious threat for sure. And I'd heard that name for a little while here, you know, before we were able to like confirm, you know, how much they were involved. But my buddy Luke DeCock from my staff, our staff, did a great job on that story too. So,
you know, in the end, I was thinking about this because I'm kind of old school, and I was like, I don't want it to leave Greensboro, but it really doesn't matter where it is. Like in 2022,
It doesn't.
Like, it doesn't matter if it's in Orlando or Boone or wherever. Like, it's not like we all visit the ACC headquarters once a week and we're going to miss it when it's gone out of Greensboro or whatever. That's not really what it, you know.
It's
What I
not
mean?
like anybody
it's not-
visits the ACC Hall of Champions next to the headquarters either.
Yeah,
it's
like,
not like it's that big of an economic impact for the new city wherever it ends up either.
Right.
You're talking about 20 or 30 jobs here, really. I mean, it's nothing compared to in a major market like Charlotte or Orlando.
Now, what I want to happen, because clearly it's not going to be in Greensboro anymore. They wouldn't go through all this just to be, well, we're just going to stay here in Greensboro.
Correct.
Greensboro should stay on the rotation for the ACC tournament.
Right.
Because of it being Greensboro. And I think it's a different environment altogether when it's in Greensboro compared to any place else, including Charlotte.
There's your other problem. We've been fighting over where to have the headquarters for the past 8 months. And in the process, we only have ACC tournament locations scheduled out through 2024 or 25. Like, there's nothing scheduled out beyond that. These things need to be scheduled out 5, 6, 7 years in advance for economics and things like that. Instead, we're fighting over where to put a building that only 50 people are going to be in at any given time.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, it should really just be like 4 or 5, and that's it. Like Greensboro, Charlotte, Tampa, DC, Brooklyn.
Well, the Holy Grail is MSG, right?
So, MSG, and that
you're holding out hope that something will happen with that, you know.
Yep.
And then maybe someplace in the Northeast.
Do something with that, but
maybe something in the Northeast, like Pittsburgh or something like that, to kind of appease the old Big East crowd that's still, you know, a quarter of the league or whatever. But if you just have 5 or 6 satellite ones, and those are the hard ones instead of just bouncing around all over the place, I think everybody would be fine.
I can't wait for everyone to be up in arms when the ACC tournament ends up in Providence, Rhode Island.
At the Providence Civic Center.
Well, that's my concern about Orlando is that they'll, you know, if they sign a deal with them, the tournament will have to go down there at least once in a while, right? I mean, somewhere in Florida.
Not that that's a bad arena. I've driven by it. It looks like
I know.
There's no
really
ACC school.
Spaceship, but
there's no ACC school near it, is there?
No.
Tallahassee, I guess, right?
Tallahassee and Miami.
Not close.
No. They're both 3 hours away. I mean, they're you know.
Tallahassee's like this way, and Miami is this way.
Yeah, it's like right.
Jacksonville's closer than both of those.
Jacksonville smells like a porta potty, but that's a whole other segment. That's entirely different.
And I guess there's no ACC team near Brooklyn either, right? But I mean, let's face it, New York City's a little different than Orlando.
And Syracuse is not close.
No, it's the other side of the state. Yeah,
New York's college team.
I thought that was St. John's.
No, the state of New York.
Oh, not New York. Okay, sorry.
See,
yeah,
they thrive on that confusion. So
can't wait for the ACC tournament to end up in Newark, at the home of the New Jersey
at the
Devils.
Rock. Yeah,
Pro Center. Yeah. All right, Steve. Thanks so much for coming on. Enjoy it.
Yeah, glad to be with you. Gotta take care.
All right, Michael Davis. I don't know if he's returned from the locker room yet, but he'll have his mock draft right after this.
You are listening to The Score with Brett Wiseman on TobaccoRoadSportsRadio.com.
Find your next car at Auto Store of North Carolina in Walkertown. Their goal is to make car shopping and car buying experience fast, friendly, and easy. They have helped hundreds of customers get behind the wheel of a newer, reliable, quality used car, and they could help you too. Stop by and speak with one of their sales professionals today and drive away with your new car. The Auto Store of North Carolina, 4964 Reedsville Road in Walkertown. Give them a call at 336-595-8550 and view the current inventory of vehicles at autostoreofnc.com.
You are locked into Tobacco Road Sports Radio's TGIF lineup.
Cause it's Friday, you ain't got no job, and you ain't got shit to do.
I ain't set this up. I ain't know nothing about this. This is the most incredible thing I've ever seen.
You're welcome. TobaccoRoadSportsRadio.com.
Hello, my name is Sabrina Kuhn Godfrey. I'm running at large for the Board of Education. Making sure all students have quality, accessible, and equitable education is my priority. It would be an honor to serve our community as a member of the board. Vote Sabrina Kuhn Godfrey for BOE during early voting or on primary day, May 17th.
Paid for by Sabrina Kuhn Godfrey for BOE. Ideacom NC, a trusted telecommunications company with 60 years of experience in unified communications. Ideacom is about more than just phone systems. They provide a full range of communication solutions. Whether your business is big or small, from churches to schools to fire departments, depend on the best in cabling, phone systems, IT support, and more from Ideacom of Central North Carolina. Top-rated customer service that cares about your business needs. Check out all the host of solutions at IdeacomNC.com or call it 336-854-4455. Ideacom NC.
One stop number 6, located just 1 mile west of East Forsyth at 2748 West Mountain Street, Kernersville. A proud supporter of East Forsyth since 1983, serving fresh fried chicken and our famous taters 7 days a week from 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. For a limited time, grab our Wife Saver family meal for only $13.99. 8 pieces of chicken and sides for 4 for just $13.99. One stop. Come see us at 2748 West Mountain Street in Kernersville.
This is Coach Rez, head coach of your Carolina Cobras arena football team. You're listening to TobaccoRoadSportsRadio.com, your home for Triad Sports.
And you know this, man.
Welcome back to The Score with Brett Wiseman here on TobaccoRoadSportsRadio.com.
Oh, look at that. Michael Davis has returned from the locker room. He's got a new jersey on. Look at that. He got all cleaned up. If you missed the joke at the end of that previous segment, Desmond Howard was late out of the locker room in the 1996 NFC divisional playoffs between the Packers and the 49ers in the Mud Bowl that was known as Lambeau Field that day. He was late out of the locker room for the second half kickoff because his jersey was muddy and he went to clean it.
I wasn't late though, was I?
We had to start with the ball at our own 4 because you were supposed to field the kickoff and didn't. That's legitimately what happened. Green Bay started with the ball at their own 4 because one of the up men had to scramble back and barrel roll to recover the football because if San Francisco would have hopped on, it would have been their ball because it would have been, just like an onside kick. Anyways, Michael, your top 15 picks.
Hey, the moment you've all been waiting for. And so...
Diz, hit it.
With the first pick in 2022 NFL Draft, the Jacksonville Jaguars select Aiden Hutchinson, defensive end, Michigan.
Look, if you're going to give us that same dramatic pause and make us all crap our pants like the commissioner always does.
So Hutchinson's like pretty much the overall number 1 pick from everyone? Is that what I'm getting?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think Jacksonville would be incredibly dumb, and the fans should start a riot in the streets if Hutchinson is not picked number 1.
It is Jacksonville.
It is Jacksonville.
They would riot in the streets with a bunch of, cans of PBR instead of, things other people have rioted with in recency.
Wow.
It's home of the Waffle House.
Oh,
correct. They would just go get a bunch of irons and pots and pans and go beat on the doors of... What is it? Everbank Field? Is that what it's named now? TIAA Cref Stadium? I don't know.
Either way, the most exciting thing to happen there is a Stadium Stampede match for AEW. But we'll move on.
Yeah, who's your number 2? We got to push through.
Wait a minute. What about the 2006 ACC Championship game?
Nah.
Wake Forest defeated Georgia Tech by a whopping score of 9-6.
Nah.
And that's why it's not in Jacksonville anymore.
Trash.
So I didn't do any trades.
Garbage.
Okay. I did not do any trades in my mock.
I don't think any
but
of us did.
If I did,
we did.
Detroit, I think is going to trade back. But if they stay here at this pick, I'm thinking Trayvon Walker, defensive lineman from Georgia. I believe that was also Alex's pick as well. And then things get interesting in number 3. What is a good NFL draft without a wrench in the plans? And this is where the first quarterback gets taken off the board. Malik Willis, quarterback from Liberty.
Going to Houston?
Going to Houston. Thinking Deshaun Watson era is over. They didn't get Baker Mayfield in the trade. And they're like, let's just throw this high character guy to the Wolves because this team still isn't prepared to do anything.
He said, let's throw this high character guy to the Wolves.
But Jets, I know Alex had them taking a corner with their first pick, 4th overall, but I'm doing a little different with an offensive lineman. I think Evan Neal is the first offensive lineman off the board to the Jets at 4. Number 5, We got Tom Thibodeau's son, Kayvon, from Oregon. That's a joke, by the way. He's not really related, not that I know of. But and then number 6, I'm gonna butcher this name, even though both Brett and Alex said it. But I think it's an offensive lineman. Panthers need an offensive line, and it's Akeem Ekwonu.
No, you
Pretty
got
good.
it.
Pretty
Yeah.
good.
Good job.
Pretty good.
Wow,
Nice.
so all 3 of you picked 3 different players for the Panthers at 6. That's interesting.
I think we all stayed with the offensive line theme, though,
No.
right?
No, actually, who did Alex pick for the Panthers? He picked Willis, didn't he?
No, he picked the lineman. I was the only one that picked Malik.
You picked Will. You
Oh,
picked
you
Malik at
picked
6.
Malik.
Yeah. Alex picked Evan Neal.
'Cause I had
Neal.
3 of the top 5 picks being those linemen. So,
Those
yeah.
left tackles, yeah. But yeah, so everybody picked somebody different. So 2 left tackles and a quarterback for Carolina. So it seems like everybody's on the same wavelength for what they need. Now, does that mean the Panthers actually do what everyone thinks they should do? Absolutely not.
No.
Absolutely
I
not.
think in our hearts we know they won't. So
I don't know what they're going to do, because the one thing they have done right the past 2 years is the draft. That's like literally the one thing I haven't had any problems with the past 2 years with 2 different general managers. They've kind of nailed the draft. So I'm kind of hoping they do that again this year. But with everything else going on around the Panthers right now, they're kind of turning into like a walking joke around the league. So I'm not very happy with how the league views them right now. So I don't know. We'll see what happens.
And
Let's
here's the
hear it.
thing, like, this is a huge, like, offensive line, defensive line class. Like, my first 5 of the 6 picks so far is either offensive line or defensive line. And that continues with this next pick for the Giants, who's going to take Charles Cross, the offensive lineman from Mississippi State. Dak's not going to be too happy about his fellow Bulldog going to the NFC East rival. But with the Falcons, I am so glad that Alex referenced this earlier about the wide receiver core being just depleted over the last couple of years. And I don't know if we can see this theme, but the Falcons love receivers from Alabama. And so I think the first receiver off the board is Jamison Williams from Alabama. He's like 6'2", 6'3". I think he fits the Falcon system really well, what they look for in a receiver. And then up next with Seattle, I really wish Alex was here to hear this, because I'd really want his thoughts. But this is where the second quarterback gets taken off the board. And I'm thinking Desmond Ridder from Cincinnati as like the second big like quarterback who
That high?
moves up that high.
I'm telling you, there's going to be a run either on wide receivers or cornerbacks. Like, it's going to be a position people aren't thinking of because it's a weak quarterback draft. So there's going to be teams that are wanting to go up into that top 10 for wide receivers and for cornerbacks, because those look at the ones that are getting deals and their second contracts is wide receivers and cornerbacks. And it's like obscene guaranteed money they're starting to get. These teams are going to start looking at this draft as a way to replenish instead of the whole, you got a window when you draft a quarterback, like a 4 years on that rookie deal. It's going to be, we've got a window with these skill guys for 3 or 4 years before, they start asking for Tyreek Hill money or whatever. So I agree. I think people are going to be or teams are going to bounce up for skill positions at cornerback and wide receiver, those island players, I guess you could say.
Mm-hmm. And so after Ridder goes to Seattle, I have his teammate Gardner, the corner from Cincinnati, going to the Jets at 11. So the Jets do eventually get their offensive line and their secondary help. Alex and I pretty much switched those. Mm-hmm. And then the Washington Red football Commanders. They're the Commanders, right?
Commandos, Generals,
Commandos,
Guardians.
Brett's favorite NFL team name gets a receiver, just like Desmond was saying. They're going to take Garrett Wilson from Ohio State before Chris Olave. I think that's going to be the head scratcher, which for Washington, that would be that'd be very fitting for the head scratcher to be them. Nice. And with the 12th pick in the 2022 NFL Draft, the Minnesota Vikings select Trent McDuffie, cornerback, Washington.
Good pick.
I think McDuffie goes over Stingley right here because of Stingley's. We're not sure what we're going to get from him. He hasn't been on the field much. LSU hasn't been a great place for corners last couple years. LSU used to be like the school secondaries, and I think they've fallen off.
They used to be
recently.
CBU or DBU. Yeah.
DBU. And then up next we have Houston. They took Malik Willis, and so I think they start to protect him by getting Trevor Penning, the offensive lineman from Northern Iowa. And then,
that would be a great draft for them.
Mm-hmm. Get your quarterback, get your starting left tackle.
Yeah, that'd be a great draft for them if they could pull that off.
Yeah,
that's what Miami did with Tua in 2020 is they went and got their quarterback and then they got the line behind him. So take notes there.
And so that may not happen because, again, I think Detroit's trying with these we're going to take Malik Willis kind of rumors. I think they're trying to entice teams to trade with them because the Lions have a lot of holes to fill. But
plus, you do something like that, you make Jared Goff expendable. You can get some collateral for him if you're going to invest in Willis that way.
Yeah. And so up next has Baltimore, and I think this is such a Baltimore move to take Kyle Hamilton, the safety out of Notre Dame.
I was wondering where he was on your mock. For him to fall to Baltimore would be. It sounds just like something that would happen to Baltimore.
That would be the absolute worst thing Baltimore could do. But yeah, it would be something that Baltimore would do.
I mean, worse for the teams that Baltimore has to play. I think it'd be I think if Baltimore had Kyle Hamilton fall into their lap, they would run to the podium. That dude sounds like a John Harbaugh guy.
Yeah, and again, I didn't have any trades in this mock, but I feel like if Hamilton falls around 8 or 9, they're going to start calling like, "Hey, can we make a deal so they can get Hamilton?"
I think it has to. This entire draft's going to have to deal with the left tackles. Like the left tackles in the top 10 are going to
where they go determines where pretty much everybody else goes. I think.
Right, because if they go like in Brett's draft, he's got them going 3 of the first 5 picks. If that happens, then you're not going to probably see a run. You won't see people trading to get up to get one of those tackles. But again, I think when Carolina gets to 6, there's going to be one of those 3 left tackles still on the board. And there's going to be all 3 of the quarterbacks still on the board. I don't think any of them are going to go in the top 5. So Carolina will have, options. I don't think they're going to trade down this year. They're at a point where they need one of those 2 desperately. So it's not necessarily a reach. It'd be better, I guess, at that spot to get a left tackle at 6 in this draft than it would be a quarterback. But out of the quarterbacks they're talking about, Malik Willis is the only one really to me that has like some sort of it factor to him. Like, I don't feel that with Kenny Pickett. I don't feel that with Matt Corral. I don't feel that with Sam Howell or any of these other quarterbacks that are in this draft. Malik Willis has a little intrigue to him in terms of potential. Like, what can he be? It kind of sounds like Cam Newton when he first came out in 2011. It's the same kind of conversations about him, except Malik is not built exactly the same way as Cam. Cam came in like a
and he's not as high on the board
right.
as Cam Newton was, but. Look, I get what you're saying. Malik Willis he's viewed as kind of a raw, unproven guy that kind of has to be reined in to a degree. Yeah, I certainly see that sentiment with both of those guys.
Raw talent. He's the one that's got the highest ceiling, I guess.
Correct.
Everybody else just has floors that we can see.
Correct.
I do not want Carolina to pick Kenny Pickett at 6. Like, that feels wrong.
That would be a disastrous.
On a lot of levels.
That if you thought the Jimmy Clausen pick was bad, that would be a hell of a lot worse.
Let me bring this up before we get out of this segment. We got Christian Emery coming in just a bit. The Panthers are starting to get attached. We'll talk about this on Rundown tomorrow morning too, but the Panthers and 49ers have been kind of attached with the whole Deebo Samuel thing. Deebo basically saying one of the reasons why he wants to leave San Francisco is because he wants to go closer to home. Deebo is from South Carolina, played at University of South Carolina. The closest team to them is the Carolina Panthers.
No, he needs to go. See the big G back there? Yeah, he needs to go there.
That's not close to home. That's not close to South Carolina.
Not, but
and I don't know if he would leave I don't know if he would leave Northern California for the beautiful tundra of Green Bay, Wisconsin. I don't know
You
if
mean
that's
the field that he just owned for 3.5 hours in
it's
January?
different if you're wearing the home uniform though. Like the magic works in reverse if you're actually wearing the Green Bay.
Yeah.
But no,
That's
I've
why
been
I
hearing
call my Packers shelf of memorabilia the shelf of playoff disappointment.
But I've been hearing this. Would you do this deal? Jimmy G and Debo plus a first and a second next year for Sam Darnold, Robbie Anderson. Wait, what did I say? A first, Sam Darnold, Robbie Anderson, and a first. You probably got to throw in one more person. Actually, instead of Robbie, do it like this. Sam Darnold, which is a salary dump, Brian Burns, and a first for Jimmy G and Debo Samuel.
I would
Yes.
I wouldn't take that if I'm the 49ers.
I was going to say, who are you, the 49ers or the Panthers? Because you're saying yes.
If I'm the Panthers and the 49ers say yes, that's a fleece. If I'm the 49ers, no, absolutely not.
Yeah, Niners got fleeced in that deal.
What would it take for 49ers to do that deal? Like, what do you need to add?
If you're getting Jimmy G and Debo, getting Jimmy G and Debo, you need 2 firsts.
Even with Brian Burns in the deal?
Even with Brian Burns in the deal. I think they want a first for each of those guys.
No, not for Jimmy G. When they got him for a second from New England to begin with, I can't give.
I feel like that's a John Lynch thing to do. Would be to ask too much.
I mean they can ask for it, but if I'm Carolina, I can't give up 2 first-round picks for Jimmy Garoppolo and Debo Samuel. I can give up 1.
If that offer that you just put out there is presented to the table of San Francisco and they say yes, that's a win for Carolina and a huge L for San Francisco.
Because they're trying to get rid of Jimmy G anyway. He just had shoulder surgery, and Debo's expressed he wants to be traded, and they don't want to pay him Devontae Adams money. So they both are going to be gone at one point or another, and you've got a willing partner in Carolina that's like, we're looking for somebody, but we need somebody to help us out too. I don't know. I just want to throw it out there.
I think if the 49ers don't get at least 2 first rounds for Debo Samuel alone, like they're getting fleeced.
I don't think they'll get 2 firsts for a wide receiver / running back that's not named Christian McCaffrey pre-2020. Like, I don't see – if you're not a quarterback, I just don't see any team giving up 2 first-round picks for you in the NFL. Like, I'm trying to think of the last player that's happened to.
What was the Devontae Adams deal?
That might have been the last one. Now I'm thinking about it. But he's considered the number 1 wide receiver in the game.
The Packers got the Raiders' first-round pick this year, which hopefully they'll use on a wide receiver. Then I believe another first-round pick next year, and then a second and a fifth.
Hold on, I'm pulling it up now computer's going crazy.
If the Packers can get 2 firsts, a second, and a fifth, if those is what Green Bay got, like. Are you like Debo getting 2 firsts?
Football, not the best wide receiver.
Wait, what? It looks like they only traded the first-round pick this year and a second. They just traded a first and a second.
Yeah, that might have been what happened. I can't remember.
Yeah, that's the number 22 pick overall, and the second-round pick's number 53 overall. So they just traded a first.
That was wishful remembrance. All right. We got to get in the break here,
I
folks.
retract that.
Yes, retract your previous statement. We got to get in the break here. When we come back, Christian Emery will join us. NHL's playoff push. We're in the midst of it, but everyone's favorite Twitter account has to do with the NHL, and it's very unconventional, but highly hilarious. We'll tell you about that.
You are listening to The Score with Brett Wiseman on TobaccoRoadSportsRadio.com.
It's Donald Ware, host of Box to Row, got a packed show for you. PGA golfer, Harold Varner, actress, Jeffrey Maya, NFL draft hopeful, Marquise Bella FAMU. All join me right here on Box to Row.
From Press Box to Press Row with Donald Ware, Saturdays at 9 a.m. on TobaccoRoadSportsRadio.com. You are locked into Tobacco Road Sports Radio's TGIF lineup.
Because it's Friday, you ain't got no job, and you ain't got shit to do.
I ain't set this up. I ain't know nothing about this. This is the most incredible thing I've ever seen. Damn it. Hey.
You're welcome. TobaccoRoadSportsRadio.com.
Malor Family Chiropractic and Acupuncture, located at 205 North Cherry Street in Kernersville, is your family chiropractor. Dr. Malor's goal is to treat and correct the underlying cause of patient symptoms, to alleviate pain, and to restore balance. Malor Chiropractic treats pain, sports injuries, injuries from auto accidents, and much more. Start performing to the best of your ability, pain-free. Give them a call and set your appointment today at 336-996-3737. Malor Chiropractic in Kernersville.
Hello, my name is Sabrina Kuhn Godfrey. I'm running at large for the Board of Education. Making sure all students have quality, accessible, and equitable education is my priority. It would be an honor to serve our community as a member of the board. Vote Sabrina Kuhn Godfrey for BOE during early voting or on primary day, May 17th.
Paid for by Sabrina Kuhn Godfrey for BOE. You are locked into Tobacco Road Sports Radio, your home for Triad Sports.
You know this, man.
Welcome back to The Score with Brett Wiseman here on TobaccoRoadSportsRadio.com.
We're back here on The Score with Brett Wiseman on Tobacco Road Sports Radio, TobaccoRoadSportsRadio.com. Brett Wiseman joined by our producer, Desmond Johnson and Christian Emery. The NHL playoff push is happening. Canes and Rangers appear to be on a collision course as to they'll play in the first round. The only question is who would have home ice advantage there. Same as one matchup is already set in the Western Conference. That would be the St. Louis Blues, who are back there. They'll be playing the Minnesota Wild. Again, only question there is who would have home ice in that as well. But the most important story in the National Hockey League is not the fact that we're 2 weeks away from the Stanley Cup playoffs. The biggest story in the National Hockey League is everyone's new favorite Twitter account, which is run, as I understand it, by an Islanders fan.
Go figure.
Yes. He's created a bot. But this is not one of those bad, annoying bots. This is a hilarious bot. He's created a bot in which he inputs all 32 teams and a random assortment of entertainment characters and public figures to be selected by NHL teams. It's called the Nhl Draft Bot. Some recent picks of note. The Philadelphia Flyers about 50 minutes ago selected Donkey from the Shrek franchise. Let's see. We got the Blackhawks. They picked Yoda a little bit ago. I don't think that's a good pick. There's some other really hilarious ones in here. We got Patchy the Pirate going 9th overall to the Montreal Canadiens. I mean, come on.
That seems fitting
now.
for some reason.
That fits, really. You'd think the Kraken, but no. He's going to Montreal. Cristiano Ronaldo, welcome to the Minnesota Wild.
Well, actually, if we're looking at very quote-unquote fitting picks, it would have been fitting for the Kraken to take Gibby instead of the Seattle Kraken.
There you go. Wait, who took Gibby?
I think he ended up in Minnesota, not Seattle.
That's right. Yeah. You know who else would have been fitting? SpongeBob character with the San Jose Sharks. Instead, they've gone with the Crimson Chin, 90th overall.
I mean, they need an enforcer. I mean, he can hit people with the chin from 5 feet away.
That is true. Yeah. You know who the Philadelphia Flyers need? They need a glue guy. They need a really good, tough, hard-nosed guy. Instead, they picked somebody with the smallest brain of any vehicle in the history of the Cars franchise. Toe Mater, welcome to the Philadelphia Flyers with the 159th overall pick. Hey, remember that super irrelevant character from The Simpsons with the turtleneck? Yeah, he's with the most irrelevant franchise in the NHL, the Ottawa Senators. Congratulations, Carl. For some reason, the Boston Bruins went for Brad Marchand with bigger teeth. They took Timmy Turner. Well, he's the same guy. He's short. He's annoying.
True.
He
gets away with stuff that he shouldn't.
Exactly. Well, the show gets away with things it shouldn't. But apparently, Colonel Sanders has gone to the Buffalo Sabres. Bugs Bunny is a Nashville Predator. Mr. Meeseeks from the Rick and Morty franchise, he's gone to the Florida Panthers. Why does that make so much sense? Johnny Bravo to the Los Angeles Kings makes so much sense.
He was with Tampa Bay yesterday, too.
Elmer Fudd to the Nashville Predators is probably the pick that makes the most sense out of any because he can't speak in coherent sentences.
Yeah.
And no fan of the Nashville Predators has been able to do that because they're missing half of their teeth. Yeah, I went there. They play in a mustard hut. Okay?
Yeah,
the only other person that would be a good pick would be the driver of the Oscar Mayer Weenie Mobile.
Not wrong. And I just want to add one. So the Hurricanes yesterday, the Carolina Hurricanes took Michael Jordan. The irony of that is they had a player named Mikael Jordan spelled the exact same way.
You know, I just saw another one that makes sense with this account. Disco Stew from The Simpsons to the Washington Senators, the Ottawa Senators. They already have a Disco Stew.
True.
They have Disco Tim Stuzla. Right there. There's Disco Tim Stuzla. Boom.
Yeah, there was one. Where was it? Yesterday.
Sandy to the Rangers.
Hank Hill to the Hurricanes.
There you go. SpongeBob's a Red Wing. What is happening? Did Detroit finally make a good draft pick?
Well, actually, they might be influenced by the episode where he could run very fast.
Want to see me running that mountain back? You want to see me skate there instead?
You want to see me win a Stanley Cup?
Again?
Not gonna happen.
You want to see me win this? You want to see me take us back to the playoffs? No? Okay.
Not gonna happen.
Dude, Eric Cartman to Dallas. Also, Pepsi Man. Did anyone know he was real? And is it super fitting that he goes to the city of Dr. Pepper? Because Dr. Pepper doesn't have a mascot, so I guess they couldn't pick him. Why does Jack Black going to the Hurricanes make so much sense?
I don't know. I mean, it makes about as much sense
as Cookie Monster going to the
Rock.
Sox. There you go.
Okay, that does work.
You know what makes the most sense because Vegas is evil and they rigged the expansion draft? The villain from Phineas and Ferb.
Yeah, that makes a little too much sense.
That's the best part of this. All these make so much sense, including
they really do.
Pearl going to the St. Louis Blues, as well as Mr. Poopy Butthole from Rick and Morty.
Yeah, there was one yesterday that I think kind of did make.
Oh no, this one makes total sense. Darth Vader to the Washington Capitals.
That makes way too much sense.
That makes way too much sense. You know what else makes? But that's the thing. All of these picks make sense.
Way too much. And I just wanted to channel my inner Mel Kiper here for a second. The Colorado Avalanche got Ash Ketchum, and I think they have to start him at goalie because he has to catch them all if they want to be competitive. I mean, that's a lot of pressure for a 10-year-old who's been 10 for 20 years, but still.
Hey, the only thing left to do is for the Florida Panthers to just take all the Disney characters. They're already a third of the way there.
Oh, my gosh.
Although the Anaheim Ducks really missed out on an opportunity there. Certainly,
not wrong.
That's a common draft L from the Anaheim Ducks. We got to get out of here. We had to be idiotic for a little bit, but that's hilarious. Shout out to whoever the guy is that runs that account. Keep putting more random characters in there. I can't wait to see one of the 3,000 secondary characters from The Simpsons get picked.
Abe to the Hurricanes.
Abe to the Hurricanes? No, where's the Scottish lawn keeper going to go?
Oh, Willie? He's been drafted somewhere. I just can't remember where.
Willie's going to the Wild. Okay, he'll be on their fourth line when they play the Blues in the playoffs. And look, Pearl's unstoppable. Pearl is huge. Pearl's your fourth line enforcer. All right, we got to get out of here. There you go. Taller than the boards. Christian Emery, our producer Desmond Johnson, Alex Wilbur, Michael Davis, the dude that runs the NHL Draft Bot account. Everyone who thinks that their NFL team is going to draft correctly and we told you otherwise, we're sorry in advance. Goodbye.